Hey, communication, the crucial skill, mastering the art of leadership communication. How do you master the art of leadership communication? Before even talking about how do you master the art of leadership communication, let's understand how crucial this skill is. Now, if you see the most successful leaders in the history, right, all these leaders who were the most successful leaders were great communicators. Because if you cannot communicate, right, the right message to the audience, then you cannot inspire them, you cannot impact lives, you cannot actually make people follow the mission or the vision or have goals and look at big picture in life. So communication is the most crucial aspect for any leader. If you take the examples of Martin Luther King Jr., who can forget the speech, I have a dream, right? The most powerful speech in the history, right? He was a great communicator. And if you talk about Winston Churchill, or if you talk about John F. Kennedy, or even if you talk about Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi, right? One man who was able to actually drive the entire nation and get the nation together to get independence, right? Nelson Mandela, of course, one of the most popular personalities, right? Communication was his strength. And even if you talk about Franklin D. Roosevelt, right? Again, communication, the strength. If you talk even about Steve Jobs, how he was able to inspire people through communication, right? All these people, if you see the great leaders, they're all great communicators. So if you want to become a great leader, if you want to become a legendary leader, then it's important for you to master the art of leadership communication. So how do you master this art of leadership communication? Right, once you have understood why it is important, let's understand how do you master this. Right, there are 7 steps which I'm going to talk, which can help you to master this art of leadership communication and become a great communicator, so that every time you talk you inspire people, every time you talk people are getting a message, right? They are driven by, there is something that they can take back home. You become that kind of leader, not the leader where we see today, right? Most of the times when we actually are in the town hall meetings or when we are in the leadership meetings, what do we get? We get bored, because leaders cannot communicate well, right? They start with presentations and they talk numbers, they talk things which you are not interested, and finally what is the outcome is people are bored and they have not got any message out of that, right? So you need to avoid this and you need to build a great communication skill for yourself to become that legendary leader. So what are the 7 steps that can help you to master the art of leadership communication? Step number 1 is active listening. Now, this is more one of the most underrated skill, or people are ignorant of this. When it comes to communication, it's not just about speaking, right? For a very long time, even I had this confusion, right? I thought speaking, right, and orally able to communicate in itself is powerful communication. But when I became a leader, I realized it's very important for me to listen to people, because I cannot be a leader if there are no people with me, right? A leader is the one who is standing for his people, right? A leader is the one who is able to inspire people. A leader is the one who can take people along with him, right? So if you have to do that, you have to first listen to people. Active listening is one of the key skill, right? You need to be able to listen to people. And how? Actively listening, right? There are some leaders you might have seen who are always, right, always in terms of like they are always having that knowledge of everything, right? So they feel that I am always there, I know, and I know everything, and they never listen to people. And when they don't listen to people, they actually don't get the message, right? They don't understand the pulse of people, they don't understand what is happening inside, or they don't understand how do you actually motivate or inspire people, because they have not understood the pain, the challenges, the problems, or even the dreams and the desires of people, right? They have not understood whether people are connected or people are disconnected. So for that, it's very important for you to have active listening, right? So you have to pay that undivided attention so that you can listen to people and you can actually understand them well. And listen to do what? Listen to understand. And it's very important for you to show the empathy, right? And that's a very important trait of a great leader. When you are listening, you also empathize with people. So that's skill number one, or that's the step number one. What is step number two? Step number two is authenticity and transparency. Now a lot of leaders get into thinking, I want to be more authoritative, right? Authority as a leader, it's important for you to build that authority figure. But authority, how does authority come from? Where does authority come from? A lot of leaders don't understand when they are playing the game of authority, the most crucial skill, right, or the most important ingredient to build that authority is authenticity. See, people will understand at one point or the other whether you are genuine and authentic or whether you are faking it. So you need to be authentic. If you know something, yes, you can be authentic. If you don't know something, yes, you can be authentic. Like, there are people who actually become leaders and they think, I need to know everything. I cannot do mistakes as a leader. No, you can do mistakes as a leader, but you have to be authentic enough to go ahead and openly admit your mistakes, right? You have to be authentic enough to tell what you know and what you don't know, right? So that you can actually connect with people, right? Because authenticity is what builds the connections. Authenticity is what builds the trust. A leader who is authentic, people trust him, because authenticity is the key to all the connections. And of course, transparency, right? Whatever you are communicating, you have to be transparent with the teams. Because if you are not transparent with the teams, if you are not sharing what the teams need to know, whether be it like, for example, if there is a promotion that's happening inside the organization, right? If you are doing it fair promotions, you would be authentic and you would be transparent in sharing that. But many a times in organizations, we see there are certain decisions which people do not share, which leaders do not share with others, because they are not transparent there, right? Of course, there are certain things which needs to be confidential, but most of the things where you know that it has to be like transparent, because transparency builds trust, right? You have to be transparent with the team so that the team can trust you. And that is the second step for powerful communication. The third step is clarity and conciseness. Now, be it you are in the IT world or technical world or non-IT world, whatever world, right? Every world has its own jargons. So do not use jargons, because jargons will create confusion, right? And if you are creating confusion in your communication, then that is what will cause a lot of things where people can actually struggle for, right? Because you are using jargons, people don't understand. So you have to have clarity in your communication. When you are talking, people should be able to get the message. Even if it is simple, you don't have to use high fundu words. You don't have to use the words which are like not available in dictionary, right? We know there are communicators who speak amazingly well, but people don't understand it, who use amazingly great words, but people don't understand, right? What is the meaning of it? What does it mean, right? So communication has to be simple. Communication has to have clarity and conciseness. You don't have to like have speech which is like for an hour so that you can inspire people. You can inspire people even in a 10-minute speech. So it has to be concise. Your message has to be concise, right? And if your message is understood by people, that's when it is clear, right? That means your message has clarity and conciseness. Fourth one, step number 4 is empathy. It's very important for a leader to have empathy. It's not sympathy, right? People are not expecting sympathy from you. People expect empathy, right? You feel like them. When people are talking, they should feel that you understand them. They should feel that you are able to feel their emotions. Because otherwise, today we are in the era of what? Artificial intelligence, robots. They can go and talk to any robot. Why are they talking to a human being? Right? They expect you as a leader to understand their feelings, their emotions, right? And empathize with them so that they can feel connected with you. So empathy is very important in communication. Whenever you are able to empathize, only then you will see that connection will be built. Otherwise, if you are just talking surface level, you don't have empathy, and you are too technical, or you are too like goal oriented, too logic oriented, and not understanding the people's emotions, then high chances you will fail as a leader while managing people. Because people have emotions. We all human beings have emotions, right? Whether it's a technical manager, whether it's a director, whether it's a senior director, whether it's a CEO, CTO, anybody, we are all human beings. We have emotions. So you should be able to empathize, showing the understanding that you have for the other person, right? And empathizing is very important, because it will build a sense of belongingness, it will build a sense of trust. And when people feel belongingness, and when they feel trust, they open up more. And when they open up more, they are actually like building a great connection with you, and their contribution will be immense, right? So it's very important for you to empathize, right? Don't just take decisions based on logic. Talk to them, empathize them, understand the situation before you make any decisions. That's very important for you in terms of communication as a leader. Step number 5 is non-verbal communication. Now, what I'm saying, right? It's oral communication. You might communicate certain thing to a person. Think of it. You are communicating certain thing to a team. Like for instance, there is a change that is happening in the organization. Today we talk about, a lot about automation, right? If you are able to, if you're talking to your teams that automation, because of automation, we will have certain number of jobs gone, certain number of people who will be upskilled and all of it. But your body language, right? If your body language is not matching what you're talking, right? And if you are not able to like resonate with people with your facial expressions, with your body language, then the message you give can go in a different direction, right? It's also about the tonality. It's not about the language. Let me tell you, it's not about whether you're talking in English or Hindi or Telugu or Tamil. It's not about the language. It's about your body language. It's about your facial expressions, how you are feeling. Like if any one of your employees is coming with a challenge, and your tonality is hard and tough and rude, you're saying, okay, you can take a leave, and that person is going through a personal challenge, right? And your body language, your tonality is not resonating, right? You are just saying, okay, you can take a leave. But then when you are empathetic, when you are like showing that empathy for them, and your body language also shows the same, when you are actually leading ahead and getting to know that person, what is the situation, why is it happening, your tonality, everything matters, right? So that's step number 5, non-verbal communication. Be it your body language, be it your facial expression, be it your tonality, everything is considered under the non-verbal communication. Of course, even the written communication, you can look at it, but we are not looking at the written or the oral communication here. We are talking about the non-verbal communication. Then comes step number 6, storytelling. Now we know, right? If you are in India especially, we all love something. What do we love? We love to hear stories from our grandparents, right? And if you are somebody who is born in 80s and 90s, we all grew up by listening to the stories from our grandparents. So we connect a lot with stories, right? We don't connect with numbers, we don't connect with statistics. See, think of this. Think of a scenario like two leaders, right? One leader coming ahead and sharing a presentation where he's talking about numbers, statistics, and all of it. What happens? Your brain, after maybe 15 minutes or 30 minutes, will shut down. But what if another person, another leader is coming up and sharing stories? Stories through which he or she is able to explain the vision, the mission of the company, explain how goals are important, right? If somebody is able to engage with you with the stories, if somebody is able to help you connect with the stories, wouldn't you feel more connected there? Wouldn't you feel more engaged there? Wouldn't you feel more motivated to do things? Yes, of course, right? Storytelling is one of the format of communication which most of the leaders ignore. They feel that storytelling is more in the personal context, storytelling is more that comes in personal life, that comes more from grandparents or with kids. No, right? We are all human beings, we have emotions. whether we are grown up, whether we are in our, like, we have 10 years of experience, 20, 30, 40 years of experience. Storytelling is the greatest gift that you can give to yourself by practicing this, right? Storytelling is important. Storytelling can be used for product demos, it can be used for services. I remember recently I was actually in one of the workshops for one of the technical companies. It was a big workshop that they conducted, and I loved when the product manager was able to share the story of that product rather than talking about the benefits or the features of the product, right? And with the story, the audience was so glued to that product manager that they felt, this is for me, I want to buy this product. Because it's not about the products, it's not about commodity, right? It's about emotions. Anything person is buying, whether you are in sales, whether you are in leadership or anywhere, it's all about emotions. And for that emotions to arouse, you need to learn storytelling. So that's step number 6. What is step number 7? Step number 7 is embrace feedback. See, feedback is the most powerful tool that can help you to evolve and become a great leader. If you don't take feedback from people, how would you know what is your area of improvement, right? How would you know what is the gap? The communication that you have given, that you have done, in terms of, you gave a speech, right, and people heard it, but how much was understood by people? What is the message they got? What is the meaning that they made out of it, right? It's not, again, now you might be telling, the meaning that they make or the message that they got, it depends on them. If it is depending everything on them, then as a communicator, how does it matter, right? In terms of, how does it matter whether you are a good communicator or a bad communicator if everything is dependent on them? No. As a powerful communicator, as a leader, you need to be able to communicate in a way that everyone understands. And if you take feedback, that's when you understand what has gone wrong, what has gone missing, what can be improved, so that you can improvise things and take it. And feedback is one important thing for a leader to show the open culture, right? Because if you don't take feedback, that means you don't have the right to give feedback as well. Because it's a two-way. Leadership is not one way. Leadership is not like you lead, people listen to you. Leadership is two-way. The relationship that you build, where you do it for people and people also do it for you, and overall together you are one team contributing for the organization and the big vision and the vision of the company, right? That's where it's important for you to embrace feedback, right? Give feedback, accept feedback, right? That's very important, because if you are able to embrace feedback, that will help you to grow. Because everyone evolves, right? It's a journey. Like, if I have become a good communicator today, from horrible communication to good communicator, and even to get to great communicator, I need to take that feedback, because feedback is the mechanism or the tool that will help me to evolve, right? So as a leader, feedback is very important to you. So if I have to summarize, powerful leadership communication is a blend of authenticity, right? Clarity, empathy, adaptability. It's all about, like, not only like communicating in terms of things, it's also about active listening, it's also about non-verbal communication, and also about embracing feedback. If you are able to follow these 7 steps, and of course work on it, and one of the most important thing, let me tell you about communication, this is the 8th step, you can take it as a bonus, is being able to practice. Because everything comes from practice, especially in a skill like communication. You need to practice, 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 maybe in front of mirror, maybe in front of people, maybe in front of opportunities, when you get on stages, various stages, everywhere, when you get opportunities, when you are communicating, when you're practicing, practicing, practicing. Through practice, you will become perfect, right? And you will be able to master the leadership communication. With that, I wish you to become the great communicator and master this skill called communication, right? And if you want to master this skill, continue, you can continue to follow me, because for me, it's all about helping the leaders, right, the mid-career professionals, to transform into legendary leaders and build their authority and create that impact in their industry. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope this helps you to become a powerful communicator and a great leader. Thank you.